Let's talk about pre-construction homes versus resale homes. One of the questions that I get asked all the time from buyers is whether it's better to buy a pre-construction home, right, a home that has yet to be built where you're buying directly from the builder, or a resale home. And the answer really is it depends. It depends on the buyer, it depends on their situation, but there are a number of very important factors that you want to consider when you are weighing the option of buying a pre-construction home versus a resale home. So let's first talk about the advantages of pre-construction home. So when you're buying a pre-construction home, you get to make that home your own more than you would buying a resale home. So that's an obvious, huge advantage to pre-construction. A second big advantage is that pre-construction homes in Ontario come with a 7-year warranty. That warranty protects the buyer against builder defects for the first year. It protects the buyer against system issues with the major systems of the home for the first 2 years. And then it protects the buyer against major structural defects within the home for the first 7 years. When you're buying a resale home, if that home is more than 7 years old, there's no longer any warranty left on it. If it's less than 7 years old, you're still going to benefit from the remainder of that 7-year warranty. Another potential advantage of pre-construction homes, and this is really dependent on the buyer, but having a long closing date for some people can actually really work out in their favor. Buying a home today that you don't take possession of until, say, 2-3 years from now can allow you to save up some money for some furniture, some decor, and all kinds of other things, maybe allow you to plan your move a little bit more. Now, on the flip side, let's talk about some of the very important considerations and, in my opinion, disadvantages of buying a pre-construction home versus a resale home. So there's 4 big factors that you're going to want to consider when looking at pre-construction. Factor number 1, the sticker price on a pre-construction home is never what you actually end up spending on the finished product. So when builders advertise pre-construction homes for sale, the prices that they advertise are for the base model. That's a model that has no upgrades in it whatsoever. When you go to the builder sales center, the model home that they take you to is typically a highly upgraded version of that base model. So if you want the home that you're buying to look anything like the model home, you're typically looking at having to spend tens of thousands, in some cases 6 figures, in upgrades. The other important hidden cost, and this is with all pre-construction homes, regardless of whether you've upgraded them or not, is that there is a cost to finish the home. There's a lot of things that builders don't include in pre-construction home, things like gutters and eaves troughs, things like washer, dryer, air conditioner, backyard fence, window coverings. Very few builders, if any, include those things, and they're all necessary, so you're going to have to spend some money once you take possession of the home in order to complete it. I typically tell my clients, for a typical townhouse, you're looking at anywhere from $10,000 to $30,000, depending on the builder, in order to really finish that home. One more important consideration on all these additional costs, upgrades, and then finishing the home is that often you do not add as much value to the home as what you've spent on both upgrades and finishing. So if you bought a $700,000 base model, for example, and then added $80,000 to both upgrade and then complete the home, you're likely not adding $80,000 of value. You may end up with a house that's worth $740,000, $750,000. So you're going to end up in a slightly negative equity position right off the bat, assuming the market stays flat. Important factor number 2 with pre-construction homes, there is some very significant risk in buying a home today that isn't going to be ready for another 1, 2, 3 years. Because of the massive inventory shortage in Ottawa, most pre-construction homes now are aiming for an 18 to 24 month completion date from the time you buy it. Now, a lot could happen in 1.5 to 2 years. Obviously, mortgage rates could rise, so you're going to be stuck paying whatever the mortgage interest rate is at the time that your home is complete. The other risk is that your personal financial situation could change. For whatever reason, you may take on more debt, there could be a loss of job. So all things that you should absolutely consider when you're buying pre-construction. And for that reason, I always advise my clients who are purchasing pre-construction to buy well below what they're qualified for. So if you're qualified for $800,000, for example, you definitely should not buy an $800,000 pre-construction home, because if there's any slight change in your financial picture or in interest rates between now and the time you close, you're at risk of not being able to close on that home, which typically means losing your sizable deposit. So factor number 3, builder agreements versus resale agreements. When you're buying a resale home, your agreement of purchase is typically going to be documented on a standard form that was created by the Ontario Real Estate Association, Agreement of Purchase and Sale. That's a form that was created to be balanced between buyer and seller. It doesn't really give a major advantage to one person over the other in the transaction. When you're buying a pre-construction home, you're going to have to document that purchase on a builder agreement. Builder agreements are created by the builder's lawyer, and they are meant to heavily favor the builder. Now, in a market like this, more than ever, where there's a ton of demand for housing, there's low supply, builder agreements tend to be non-negotiable. It's a take it or leave it, you can't modify the terms. And some of the terms you can expect to find in just about any builder agreement are that the builder has a right to delay your closing date by up to 8 months, and in some cases more. The builder has a right to make changes to the property that you bought without your approval. Believe it or not, the builder has a right to raise the price that you pay. So if the builder's costs end up being more than they anticipated, they can pass those additional costs on to you. And last but not least, the builder has a right to just cancel your purchase altogether. They can decide not to build the home. In that case, you get your deposit back, no interest, nothing, and you're off to find another home. So there are some significant additional risks that are found in the terms in a builder agreement when compared to a resale agreement. The fourth and final important consideration when you're buying a pre-construction home is that you don't get to actually inspect or view the home until after you've already committed to buying it. So there's no way for you to inspect the workmanship, the finishes, the materials, any of that stuff until after the fact. This doesn't happen super often, but it does increase the risk that you could get stuck with a home that's part of a bad batch, where there end up being known construction issues or issues with some of the materials that were used in the home. These bad batch issues tend to manifest themselves within the first few years after a development is completed. And for the owners who bought into that development, it's typically a lot of headaches to have these things corrected. It's dealing with insurance companies, it's dealing with the builder. When you're buying a resale home that's 3 or 4 years old, those homes have typically finished settling. And so there's a much higher likelihood that any issues related to construction defects or substandard materials would have been known by then. So you have a little bit more insight into exactly what you're buying when you're buying a home that obviously is already built rather than a home that has yet to be built. So those are just a few of the important factors to consider when you're looking at buying a pre-construction home versus a resale home. If you've watched this video and you're still not sure which is right for you, I do help buyers with both types of products, and I'm more than happy to answer any questions you might have about this topic specifically or any other real estate related topic. Just shoot me a line, leave a comment. Also, if there's another topic you'd like to see me cover in a future video, please do leave a comment. I'm Serge Papineau. I'll see you on the next one.